normally be dropping off your website and bringing them in and creating customers out of them. It's really great for taking that kind of data and looking for those kind of things. Another thing that Google Analytics can do for you is give you a lot of information with regards to where your traffic is coming from. Is your traffic coming from Google, or do your website users use Bing? Or is your traffic coming from Facebook? All that time you're spending posting on your Facebook page religiously every single day and running Facebook ads, is it actually generating some traffic to your site? You know, if you're running some Facebook ads, maybe they tell you that they gave you 100 clicks to your website. Well, through Google Analytics, you may be able to find out that it's not 100 clicks. It's more like 50 people came to your website, because sometimes those numbers on the Facebook ads can be inflated. So you get more of a realistic idea of what your return on investment is for those type of things.
Yeah, so it's basically, it's giving you the information that you need to make decisions about how you're promoting your business, what you do with your website, and how you promote your website and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Cool. So how does it work? That is a good question. I'm not sure. So that's why we have you on.
So in a really basic sense, Google Analytics relies upon some JavaScript that they have you embed in your website, and it places a cookie on the user's browser. And that cookie is going to record data about each session they have on your website. Each time they visit your website, it's going to record things like how many pages they visit, how long they're on the site, how long they're on each individual page, things that they clicked while they're on that page. If you have it set up to that extent, you can set up pretty much any kind of trigger you would like in the pages with Google Analytics, but it's all just based off that cookie that the JavaScript drops on their browser. And they'll report all that information from that cookie back to Google Analytics, and they make it anonymous and aggregate it with all the other data from your website and show you the results in the dashboard. So it's a little bit more technical than that, but the gist of it is the cookie gathers the information. That's called the collection phase, and it sends it back to the Google Analytics servers. And then after it's collected, that data is processed according to the configuration, which is like your settings that you have set up in the Google Analytics administrator area. So those settings could include things such as filtering out your internal IP address so that your traffic from your office doesn't show up in your stats.
Right.
So you're not skewing your numbers. It can include things like setting up some goals. Say you want to see people come into your contact form and filling it out. So you could set up a goal to trigger an event every time they fill out that contact form. So you could set those things up. And that configuration is how the data is processed, and then it shows up in your reports afterwards. So the one thing I do not like about Google Analytics, but I understand why it has to be this way, is their processing of that data. Once it's processed, let's say for a filter that filters out a certain IP address, that data is completely discarded and there's no way to get it back. So you have to be really careful with your configurations so you don't accidentally destroy all of your data and have no traffic coming in when in reality you actually have a lot of traffic.
Interesting. So, but you kind of have to deliberately do that. It's
you
not
do.
Accidentally do that.
No. It's as long as you stay away from the filters, other than just adding your IP address or something simple, then you should be fine. But I have seen cases where someone only included their IP address instead of excluded, so they had like no traffic coming into their site because they were only looking at their own traffic. So,
oops.
Really simple fix, you know. But
yeah,
all that data that was captured beforehand can't be recovered at that point. So.
And it's really great because it's just that one little block of code that you add to your website, and just add it, make sure it shows up on every page. So you add it to like the header or the footer if you're using WordPress, or with TechSite Builder, there's a spot in the dashboard where you can add header or footer code. And that's really it. And then it kind of takes it over from there. So, we can talk about it all day, but really the benefit of it comes from, kind of poking around and seeing how it works and seeing the dashboard. So I figured at this point we can jump into the understanding the data, which is how to kind of use all of that data that's coming into Google Analytics. So I'll go ahead and pass over the screen to you if you don't mind, and then you can kind of show us around the Google Analytics dashboard and show us the different cool things we can do over there.
Sounds good. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to show you is just the admin area. I'm going to go ahead and create a new account so you can kind of see how to set up an account. It's really, really simple. They walk you right through it. You just want to give your account a name. So you'd call it my website, and then my website is the name of your property. And then you put in your website URL, and then you can choose your industry category and your time zone. And then all you have to do is click the Get Tracking ID. It's going to pop up with the terms that no one ever reads, letting you know that they're capturing all of your data and tracking every move you make. And then this little script right here is all you've got to do, copy and paste that into the header or in that area on the tech site builder. And that will put the analytics tracking code on every page that you have on your site, allowing them to track the stats for those pages. So it's really simple setup. I mean, it takes literally 2 minutes to set the whole thing up. Very easy. So let me go into one of my sites that has some actual data here, and we'll look at the reporting side of things. Once you've had the code on your site for a little while and you started tracking some information, you'll have a lot of numbers and charts come up on the screen just like this when you first load up Google Analytics. As you can see on the left-hand side, there's a navigation down the side. We're going to go over several of these main sections, but the big ones are audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So the first one we're going to go through is the audience overview. This is the default one that loads up every single time you open Google Analytics, and it kind of gives you the most information at a glance that you would probably need anytime you come to see your stats.
Right,
so
that's where you go to see like those little bumps in.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of people visiting. You see that nice little mountain show up.
If you have a blog post that you put out that does really well, you'll definitely see the change in traffic at that time in the stats there. So the one metric you're going to see a lot is sessions, and a session is anytime someone visits your website and that cookie is placed in their browser or it already exists in their browser. And a session is a visit to your website within a 30-minute time frame. So if someone visits your website, closes it, and reopens it, it's still considered one session. It's not going to create a new session every single time. And as you can see, this particular website, they also have the user's stat here. There are 11,000 users that triggered 13,000 sessions. So for the most part, the majority of their visits were from unique visitors who do not already have that cookie on their website. Gotcha. So that counts as a new user versus returning user, and I think we'll touch on that in just a minute here. So page views is the number of pages that have been viewed on your website. So ideally, obviously, you want to see more page views than you have sessions, which means people are going to more than one page per session on average. Most websites, you want to see them going to 2.5 to 3 pages per session, but depending on how your site is structured as far as calls to action, like that, it may just be set around 1.5 or 2. And then your average session duration is just simply the number of sessions divided by the amount of time spent on your website total, and gives you the average session. 2 minutes is a great average session for most sites, especially unless you have a site that's a lot of information. You've got a really rich blog with a lot of info there. You typically will see that number around 1.5 to 2 minutes. So right,
because you don't necessarily want someone just hanging out on your site all day. Especially if you're a computer business owner or
exactly.
a business owner, you want them to take action. You want them to contact you or make it.
Yeah. Unless you have something on the site that you want them to hang around and read for 30 minutes, then you don't want that session time to be that high.
Right.
The bounce rate is the one that seems to confuse the most people whenever I work with them in Google Analytics. And a bounce rate is really quite simple. It is the percentage of times that people visit your website and close their browser window without visiting a new page or triggering an event. And that means they came to your website, loaded up the homepage, and then closed it. That is considered a bounce. So if I had 100 sessions and 50 people did that, I would have a 50% bounce rate. Google likes to see your bounce rate lower. It indicates to them that this site is relevant for the terms that we are sending people to the site for. Right. So you want to try to keep that bounce rate down. You don't want it to be in the 80s and 90s if you can help it. And one way you can do that.
You can do just like off the top of your head that can make the bounce rate lower.
Well, for one thing, don't have all of your content on the homepage in 2 sentences. Because if I can read your entire site in 2 sentences, then there's nothing else for me to do, I'm going to bounce. Another thing would be to have, besides just having some interesting content on the homepage, lead them through to other pages of the site. Don't just say, here's our computer business. Say, here's our computer business, and then contact us to learn more. Contact page or things like that. You don't want to just have them land on a homepage with nothing to do except for a pretty slideshow. You want to make sure you have something there to keep them engaged and draw them through to the next page of the site.
Great.
And percentage of new sessions is the last metric there, and there's nothing fancy about that. It's just the percentage of time that there was a new user that came and had a session on your website.
Makes sense.
So that is the audience overview. A couple more interesting areas under this audience heading over here is the geolocation. I like to look at this. If you're a small business, in this particular case, it's a restaurant in downtown Chicago, so they're not going to have this super concentrated in one area map going on. They do have a lot in Illinois, obviously, but if you're a small business that only does business, let's say in a 30-mile driving radius or 50-mile driving radius, and you're in the center of a state, nowhere near the border, then you can pretty much be guaranteed that all of your traffic that's relevant to you would be coming from within that state. So you could click on your state and then see where exactly in the state your hotspots are as far as people visiting your site, and actually see the statistics here of the number of sessions and the bounce rate and things like that we just saw for that particular state, which could be a lot more relevant to you since you're a local business versus someone who's nationwide or a national corporation.
Definitely. And you can see like maybe your website is being visited a lot by people who are outside of your area, but you're a local computer shop and you can't really service people outside of your area. So that might be a clue to maybe include more location-based keywords on your website so that it starts showing up in your local area.
Yeah, and even calling it out in your homepage right near the top of where you service, maybe not saying we service a 50-mile radius around Topeka, Kansas, but saying that you serve the Topeka area. That way people see it and they realize, oh, this guy's over in Topeka, Kansas. That's not anywhere near us. So, they can kind of disregard that and move on. And then also it helps Google, of course. The other section that's really interesting and can really be helpful depending on how your site is built is the mobile view here, and just going to the overview. I don't usually get into the devices because they actually list out every device that's accessed your website, and it kind of gets crazy with all the phones out there.
Right.
But this overview just gives you a quick snapshot of, are people visiting your website on mobile, desktop, or tablet? And that can be a huge thing if you have, let's say, a poor experience on tablet and the majority of your traffic is coming from there. Or if you have a poor experience on mobile and the majority of your traffic is coming from there. Most websites I've worked with are still seeing around a 50 to 55% split towards mobile. But there are some that are getting up there in the 60% and up range for mobile being dominating there. So I expect that trend to move forward. And that's why Google's put a lot of emphasis on the mobile friendly design as well the past few years. So.
Yep. And that's, that's something we definitely take care of for you in Tech Site Builder. But it's definitely something that you still, even though you're using a platform that is mobile responsive, you still want to take a look at what your pages look like on a mobile phone and just make sure, the information that you want at the top is at the top, because the information kind of gets shuffled around a little bit when it's on the phone. So just, make sure that the looking at it on a phone is still a good experience, especially for those of you who are focused more on residential clients. I know the computer shops that are focused more on residential clients tend to get more mobile views than the MSPs and the folks that are focused on business to business. So definitely for you residential guys, take a look in your analytics and see how many people are visiting you on mobile, and then make sure your website is a good experience for them.
Yeah, that's a common mistake is, they create a blog post or a page and have 3 or 4 pictures in there. What they don't realize is that's the first thing that loads on the page, and then you have to scroll through 4 pictures to find any text, and people don't realize there's text there and they just leave the site. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. So that's pretty much what we're going to go over for the audience section. We're going to move on to the acquisitions next. This is one of my personal favorites just because it helps me understand as a business owner where I'm getting the best return on my investment. So I'm going to go through, and instead of going through the acquisition overview, I'm going to go down to the source medium. So in the acquisition category, source slash medium, that's going to tell you everywhere that you had someone come to your website from. It's going to give you a readout of that. So for example, the source is the first word here, Google, and then the medium is going to be organic or referral or none or paid. So you're going to have those different options in there. So in this case, the vast majority of the traffic on this website came from Google. And when you compare the percentage of visits from Google, 59% this last 30 days, versus the numbers from Bing, 3.5% the past 30 days, it's almost not even a competition there.
Right.
So it kind of helps you to understand, okay, sometimes you'll find a region that people happen to use Bing, or maybe a demographic where they all still use Yahoo. I have seen it happen before, but it's unusual. So you might want to say, okay, maybe we should make sure that our listings look correct in those search engines, and make sure that we have our Yahoo places or Bing places or Google My Business set up. I optimized for that particular search engine. And then another thing you'll see is the direct / none. That's going to be any traffic that types in your URL directly. So if they have you bookmarked, or they just go online and type in your URL to go to your website, that's going to be where those people show up at. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, those are going to be people who either know you and have done business with you before, or they know you through a business card or a flyer you handed out, because they're typing it in, they're not Googling it. So a lot of times that number is going to be a little bit lower of bounce rate, a little bit lower number of pages per session, because they know what they're coming there for, because they're repeat customers. Just depends on what your industry is and how people are using your site. And then of course the referrals, you'll see referrals in this case from Yelp.com, Facebook.com, and then you'll also, if we expand this down here in the bottom, you can add more rows to your data here. So let me expand that out. And then you can see we have m.facebook.com right here, which is the mobile app. And then you also have another facebook.com down here and another facebook.com down here, because Facebook's a mess. Here's another one right here. They've got 4 or 5 different ones that you'll see. So a lot of times if you're trying to figure out how much traffic are we really getting from Facebook, up here near the top of the section, you can do a quick sort and filter. And it'll filter down to just the ones from Facebook. So now you can see the actual numbers coming in from Facebook. Cool. So that works the same with any social media platform. And if you're running Facebook ads, you can actually add a little snippet to your Facebook ads to let them translate that to a paid source and medium instead of a referral. That way you can separate your organic and paid traffic from Facebook as well. So it helps you see the return. So in this case,
there's also a separate social section there under acquisition as well. How does that differ from what's listed as traffic?
That section right there will take any of the known social referrers and put them into an aggregate here. So let me pull that up so you can see which social channels are sending you traffic here.
Gotcha.
Just give you a quick overview of that, and then you can see if you have conversions set up where they're coming from. In this case, I don't think they actually have any conversions set up yet. And then network referrals will give you, again, that list with some nice charts above it. They love sticking charts on all the pages, so you'll see a lot of those. So that's where most of your sources go. And then as far as referrals, I frequently like to look through this list when I'm managing a business of the referrals that are coming through. So you can see, I'm just going to open up the list. We've got about 89 of them here. You can see every single website that sent traffic to this client. Now you're going to have some come through. Let's see if I can find one right here. wf.webrouteanywhere, urlopener.com. You're going to have stuff like that. That's just spam. In reality, there's likely no one that even came to your website from there. That site is what we call ghost referral spam. And there are ways to filter that out, but it's a little bit too in-depth for this particular webinar.
Yeah, I've been having problems with that, and I've been seeing that kind of on the increase.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you just search in Google for how to filter those out, there's some good tutorials.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways of doing it. Either one works, and they're not too hard. It's just a lot of step-by-step stuff there. So, but this helps you. If you decide that you're going to join the local chamber, and the local chamber of commerce is like, okay, we'll put your link on our website, and people will come visit your website. You can go in Google Analytics and say, look, I've been in the chamber for 2 years now, and I've had absolutely nobody come to my website through the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing that can really help you understand where is it best to spend your advertising dollars. Getting listed in a directory, or putting out some kind of direct marketing piece, or running some pay-per-click ads or things like that. So
Nice.
That's the acquisition section. There's a whole lot more information in here. Most of it is more relevant when you're running AdWords and you have some campaigns going and things like that. So move on.
We might have to dig in on another webinar into AdWords and all the stuff you can track with that as well.
Oh yeah, AdWords is my favorite as far as data, because they give you all the data. It's awesome.
Right. Nice.
They don't hold things back like the organic search engines do. So under the behavior section, I'm just going to skim through here. It's your overview. Again, a lot of the information you saw earlier, the number of page views, the average time on a page, your bounce rate, your exit percentage, and then the unique page views. The one thing that you'll see here is different is the average time on a page, not an average time on the per session. It'll change that up when you get here. You can also see which pages of your website are getting the most percentage of page views. Obviously, the backslash is your homepage, or the slash rather, is your homepage, and that is going to be 99.9% of the time. It's going to be your dominant one, unless you're spending a ton of money marketing another URL through pay-per-click. So you're going to see your homepage there, then you're going to see the other pages which are most popular. Obviously, you like to see the contact page near the top of that list, because that means people are contacting you and trying to get in touch with you. So you can keep an eye on that there. And then I like, one of my favorite sections of analytics is this right here, behavior flow. So when you go into behavior flow, it looks really overwhelming and kind of insane. But all you have to do is think of this as the stages of a website visitor. On the far left is the first stage when they come to your site and they have a landing page. As you can see, these landing pages are aligned with the starting pages over here, because in this case, we don't have any redirects going on or anything like that. So you can see where they start, and then the next page that they visit, and the next page that they visit, and the next page that they visit, all the way until they leave the site. So I can say, I want to know where the people that started on my, let's say, the village page, I can click on it and say highlight traffic. And I can see the next place that they went was, a lot of them, the majority of them, left the site right after that. So maybe there's something on that page that's wrong, or in this case, it's a restaurant page where they can make reservations. Likely they made their reservations and moved on. But you can see, where did they go next? Did they go to the contact page? Did they go back to the home page? Sometimes you'll see a lot of traffic coming in on a particular page. We don't have it on this site, but you'll have a lot of traffic coming in, and the very next place they go is the home page. And that could be an indicator that they're not finding what they're looking for on that page, so they're going back to the home page to try to find it. Sometimes that's not the case, but a lot of times you can see that they're kind of struggling there. So you can kind of see, where's your traffic coming from? Where are they going? What's the path that a user takes through your website? And using this, you can help kind of craft the trail of breadcrumbs that you leave, if you will, for your users to go through your website and go to the pages you want them to go to in the order you want them to go to them.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I've found that helps with that is, on the pages where you're seeing a big drop off, is to make sure you have some sort of call to action at the bottom of the page. So when someone's done reading it, they have some sort of next step that they need to take, whether it's, probably for us, it would be to book an appointment or go to the contact page. So put a button or a link or something at the bottom of that page, says, contact us here. And then you can go to analytics once you implement that, and you can see now people aren't dropping off as much. Now they're going to the contact page, or whatever page you're leading them to. It could be a page that explains more in depth about the service, or something like that. And then you can actually see the path that they're taking, and that people actually tend to take the path more readily when you make it easy for them by putting a link or a button or something there at the end of the page.
Yep. You got to tell them what to do.
Yep, exactly.
So under behavior, there's also the site content section here. And this is where you can get into the actual list of all the pages that have been visited on your site, and how long was spent on those pages, and what kind of bounce rate they had, and things like that. You expect to see a lot of entrances, obviously, on your homepage, and hopefully a very low number of bounces on your homepage. You kind of expect to see a higher number of bounces on your contact page, because they came for the contact information, they got it, and they left. So that's kind of something you tend to see a little bit more. And then all the other pages, it just kind of depends on what the page is about, whether people are leaving there or not. Another section of interest is the landing pages here. So you can see the landing page or the initial page that a visitor lands on when they come to your website. And you can see, besides the home page, what else are people landing on? Are they landing on that particular blog post? Well, if you do a search and you find out, okay, that blog post isn't ranking anywhere in the first 3 pages of Google, maybe they're finding it through Facebook. You know, I put Facebook out there and I posted this blog post. Maybe that's how they're finding it. So you can see, look, this blog post happened to have, 100 views. You can click on it and go into the source right here, and you can actually see where did those visits come from on that landing page. So now I can say, all right, look, I can see that Facebook promotion that I did by pushing that blog post out there, or that Twitter promotion or whatever, was really effective because I got a lot of traffic to my website, and you can kind of go from there. Same concept with your exit pages. You can find out where it is that people are typically leaving your site. If they're leaving your site a lot of times from the contact page or things like that, there's nothing to worry about. If they're leaving from a place that you don't expect them to leave, if you have them going through a 3-part blog post telling them about, how to do a step-by-step walkthrough of how to do something, and they leave after the first one, it's not something you would expect. You usually want to see them go through to the second. So you might want to make it a little clearer that this is only part 1. There's 2 more parts, read the next one, something along those lines. So,
right. So there's in the Tech Site Builder template, there's a page called the services page, which lists in little boxes what all your services are. So that's the type of page where you would expect someone to go from that page and then click on one of your services to read more about it. So if you're seeing a lot of exits from your service page, that might mean that you need to, have catchier graphics on there, maybe change around the titles of the services to make them more clear. Some folks like to give, catchy, cute names to their services instead of saying exactly what the service does. So that might be a reason that people, leave that page. So that might be a good thing to just look to see how many people are exiting from your services page. And if it's a lot, then maybe, address that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last section in the behavior, I'm just going to touch on because we don't have any set up on this site and we're not going to go over it because it's fairly in-depth. Oh, we do have set up on here, is the events section. So if you set up Google Analytics events, which is one step further than tracking it just by putting that code in there, you can actually see when someone has clicked on a certain element on your site. So in this case, whenever someone clicks on the phone number, or if you have, you put a coupon up on your website and there's a button to download it, you can track and see how many times someone clicked on that button by adding some code to it. It's a little bit more advanced than the basic thing, but I use the events section a lot when we're determining ROI for a campaign. So
interesting.
And then, of course, the conversion section at the bottom is completely reliant upon you having goals set up to begin with. So in this case, there's no goals, so there's nothing to report on. All of the same metrics are available there. I just wanted to show you how to set up a goal really quick. It's in the admin area. You just go load up your account, and then all the way over here on the right is goals for that particular view. And these goals you can set up for, well, they give you some options here, some ideas. You can set it up for a certain page visit. If you have a page that you'd really like people to visit, let's say it's a coupon page, you could have a goal set up for every time someone visits that page. Or maybe you have a contact form you'd like them to fill out. You can have it set up to where that is triggering an event or redirecting them to a new page so that you can see every time someone fills that out. And it will just track every single session that matches whatever the goal is that you set up. And then it will report that back in that conversions section at the bottom of the reporting there.
Very cool. Yeah, I love goals. And the cool thing about goals is once you set it up, it'll add that goal to a bunch of the other screens. So you can see, yes, like if you're in the acquisition screen, you can see, how many people coming from Facebook did this particular goal, whether it's filling in a contact form or whatever. Yep.
And right over here on the right, they put it there. So you can actually see, especially when you've got several different mediums that you're using to advertise, you can start to say, okay, look, I'm putting all this money into it and I've got one conversion. And then you can kind of get into, you want to really get in depth with it. There's like assisted conversions and things like that to find out if someone found you through Facebook but didn't convert and then came back the next day and converted through Google. Would that conversion be attributed to Google or to Facebook, or how do you want to split it? That's all in the super advanced setup stuff. And that's really fun. But most small businesses have no business messing with that. That's really for more big corporate places.
Yeah, they
that are
probably
spending a
wouldn't
lot.
get enough traffic for that to
Yeah,
be.
yeah, you've got to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of visitors a month to really start getting into that kind of thing. Otherwise, you're playing with 5 or 6 conversions a month, and it's kind of, there's not much to work with there.
Right.
The last thing I just wanted to touch on before I stop sharing my screen here is the Google Analytics Academy. It is absolutely awesome. There are a ton of courses in here if they interest you. If you want to learn more about Google Analytics, the digital analytics fundamentals covers everything I covered and then some. Then there's the platform principles. I highly recommend, if you're going to try to dig into analytics and learn more about it, these first two. The others are kind of more specialized, but in order to get the Google Analytics certification, you actually have to take, I think, 3 of the 5 of these courses. I took them all, but you have to take, I think, 3 of the 5. But there's some really technical stuff. There's some really high level stuff that I had no idea about until I took the course. It's really interesting, but that's, if you have 20 or 30 hours you want to waste and go in there and learn some stuff about analytics, there's plenty of information in there available to you.
So how are they broken down? Are they like broken down into smaller videos?
Yeah, there's little lessons. Let me go through the fundamentals here. I think it actually tells you. Yeah, there's the course overview here, and then there's all the different.
Oh, gotcha.
Each
Nice.
lesson has like a quiz underneath it. I think that's 2 or 3 questions, and then after you're done, there's actually no test or anything like that. There's a test here, but it doesn't give you anything. But you have to actually be signed in and complete the courses and the tests in order to take the test to be certified. So
Gotcha.
sometimes they'll also put out new courses. They put out a new one last summer on Tag Manager. This one over here. And when they do that, they'll sometimes offer a special certification if you take that course when they first launch it. But then after that, it's just part of their library here, and you can take it. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that because I've already learned a few new things just in this short little overview. So I'm excited to dig in and and waste a lot of time. It's not a waste, though. It's definitely you can get some good insights.
If you're going to use it and you're serious about learning more, that is definitely the place to go. And that's where I spent a lot of time for several weeks in a row, just trying to wrap my head around everything before I took that test. Because the test itself to get the certification, I think, is like 2 hours. So you kind of don't want to have to take it more than once if you can help it.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen here.
Cool.
Pass it back to you.
Yep. So I wanted to show you guys in TechSite Builder a couple things that you can do with Google Analytics. So first of all, here is the dashboard in TechSite Builder. So to add that Google Analytics code, you'd want to head down to the site settings menu, and then inside there we have a place for header scripts and footer scripts. So in the header script, that's where you would probably want to add that Google Analytics code block. And you can add, multiple things here. So you can add Google Analytics and website or Webmaster Tools code, which is what that is there. And any other kind of tracking or thing that you have, you can add multiple scripts in there. So you get that set up, and then that'll ensure that the Google code is showing up on every page of your website. And then what we've done is we've set up, and Robert actually helped me with this. There's a special code you need to put in the button of the form because our default, the default form in the TechSite Builder website, which we all know is like this form down here. When you submit it, it just gives you a message saying it's been submitted, so it doesn't take you to a different landing page. So in that case, I just added this a couple days ago. There's some code in the button that's going to does that trigger the event?
It triggered an event. Yep.
So that's going to trigger an event for you, so you can see how often people are submitting that contact form.
Yep, and you can use that event to create a goal if you want to have conversions showing up there too.
Right, so you can see like where are the people coming from that end up converting best, and where are people coming from that aren't converting, and try to figure that out. Also, we have the more advanced form builder in TechSite Builder that you can actually set up to redirect the user to a thank you page. So that's an even slicker way to make sure that people are converting, and that also ensures that they're actually filling out the form properly. You're not getting any errors and that sort of thing. To do that, you just create a new form or edit an existing form. Go to Manage Forms. Down under Form Settings, there's a setting for on form completion. What do you want to have happen? The default is to show some text. You can set it to redirect, and then from there you can just create a new page on your website called "Thank You" or "We'll get in touch with you shortly." What I like to do sometimes on those thank you pages is have a link to a helpful blog post or something. Keep them on the website and keep them engaged with you. And so you can put that URL here, and the contact form will automatically redirect to that page once they fill it out, and then that'll really help you. You can set up a goal to that thank you page, and make sure that thank you page, isn't published anywhere else on the site. And that way people who land on that thank you page should only be landing there because they filled out your form. So a couple little tricks there within the text site builder interface that you can use to take advantage of some of those Google Analytics tricks. All right, so that's going to wrap up this webinar. If you guys have any questions, this is now the chance to ask them in the Q&A box. So that'll be available there while we're waiting for folks to ask their questions, if there are any. And there might not be, because you explain things pretty well. So I think it's if I were watching this, I'd be anxious to just jump in and start playing around with stuff. But let me go back to the original slide there. So folks, if you guys want to reach out to Robert to ask him some questions or get a little bit more info on some of the stuff he was talking about. He also does analytics consulting, SEO, AdWords, all of that stuff. He's your man. You can reach out to him at the places that are on the screen: email, Skype, LinkedIn. Definitely a great guy to just talk shop with and that sort of thing. And you recently took the business full time. Is that right?
I did, actually, on October 1st. So
exciting.
Yeah, I've been doing it on the side for I don't even know how many years now, since 2007, I think. And finally took the plunge and said, "See you to my day job." So
nice. Yeah, that's an exciting time, and I know a lot of folks who will be watching this. We have a good mix in the tech site builder community of folks who are running business part-time and running business full-time, and so I'm sure a lot of folks can relate to that. And I think most of us have started off running a business on the side, because that's just kind of it's a less risky that way. And
yeah, for sure.
Yep. So cool. So yep, no questions coming in, so that's fine. So again, you guys can reach out to Robert with that information. We'll make this webinar replay available for you. So if you want to review some of the stuff you talked about, feel free to do that. Just wanted to say thanks again, Robert, for taking the time to show us, just kind of shed a little bit of light on Google Analytics and make it a little less scary for folks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next webinar.